Guys, the way it seems like all the drama is heating up, and the way it seems like all the battle lines are being drawn between like all the ladies and all that on the cast, it's wild. Hey everyone, my name's OJ, and this is my channel. We will be discussing today the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season number 17, episode number 3 review. Now, before I start, I would like to firstly apologize as I am a week late, as this episode is from last week, and due to personal reasons and just life in general, I did not get to film last week as I just wasn't feeling up to it, or I just wasn't feeling my best. However, we're here today, and I am so excited to talk about this episode, and I'm sweaty as well, and this is crazy. We just started. Anyway, we're literally also just over here. I have like my iPad with my notes just up. So if you see me looking this way or touching something this way, I'm just moving my notes up and down. So I'm literally just gonna go through the episode, and I made a list of like what I found interesting or little talking points that I wanted to talk about as it came to the show, and what I felt was maybe funny, shady, or just interesting to talk about. So just opening up this actual episode, it continues from last episode where we saw Kay Michelle talk about her medical emergency and her medical episode in regards to her um, going down the line of doing silicone injections in the past, which is now have her body sort of rejecting it, and which is why she is at the place that she is at this moment. Honestly, I applaud her for her bravery and sharing this story with all of us. I can just only begin to imagine how it's not something anyone would really want to publicly share, or anyone would really want to say, like publicly admit that they made a mistake or their choices from before is now coming back to haunt them. But you know what? I wish her well. I wish her speedy recovery. And one thing, like a few of the girls have said throughout the episode as it pertains to her and like her showing up to scenes despite what she's going through is the whole how you say you don't look like what you're going through, and you know what, I love that for her and I absolutely agree. And yeah, I just really wish her all the best. Moving on now to Angela and Drew. So Angela and Drew meet up for lunch, and I will say both of them look amazing. Obviously, like I've said that before, I think this cast is full of absolutely, very beautiful looking women. I think that though some of them their fashion choices aren't for me, I think that it comes together well for them and they look good. I have to say that this hair color that Drew has, wow, like I don't know, it's obviously like a blonde, but like a strawberry blonde. I'm not really familiar with colors and hair colors and how, what it looks like, but you know what? It's cute. Um, as they were sitting in the scene, Drew then explains, or I think Angela asks Drew about her, family life and what's been going on, and then Drew sort of explains her schedule and what it's like, basically, catching red eye flies, leaving town to go film, to make movies, to make music. And honestly, while she was talking about it, my brain was like, I'm tired. I personally don't even have children. I happen to work in the same city that I live in, so it's an easy 15-minute commute to work, 15-minute back. So in a day I commute for like 30 minutes at the least just to get to and from work. But for Drew, like it's crazy, and for parents that are able to do that and do actually do that, it's wild. When they did like a little flashback scene of her little daughter sort of having an emotional moment, it actually made me sad. Like just I don't know, seeing that side of the parent life and seeing how parents sacrifice, times with their kids, and kids have to, in a way, sacrifice the time that they would spend with their parents because their parents have to work and they have to, make a life for them. And it actually really was touching. Like that's just something about me seeing kids cry, or seeing the ladies interact with their kids, or just anyone with kids like on TV. It actually makes me really emotional. Even talking about it now, I feel emotional. But you know what? It was really sad. Like I hope that she finds what works for her. I wouldn't even use the word balance because I don't believe that there's really such a thing as work-life balance. Like sometimes some things are more important, like, working to make money to, put a roof over your children's head is more important. And then there are times where, being there for your children or yourself personally is more important than working. So it's just however the cookie crumbles for her, I really, really, truly wish her well. Um, they also, well, Angela touches on how her project with her flipping houses is going. And obviously, they do like a flashback scene to last year's reunion where she mentioned that she lost like $2 million. Like, that is crazy. I am not in the business of flipping houses. I'm not in the business of having $2 million yet. One day, God willing. But it's wild. Like, I guess you have to make millions to owe millions, in the words of Karen Huger from RHOP. But yeah, that was it. Like, I wish Angela well. I don't know. Like, me personally, my personal opinion, I feel like maybe she should pivot to something else, try something else outside of, doing real estate or flipping houses. Unless, that's just her thing that she may have been doing for years before. And what we're seeing now is just, just like a little bit or just a little part of what she has at this present moment. So all in all, I wish Angela well. I hope that, she somehow makes the $2 million back and more with her ventures with the next few houses or whatever. Drew. Back to Drew again. And this date. The person that she's seeing. Like, I get it, it's a show. I get it that maybe they felt that she maybe felt she needed to bring someone for show, but it's just like we can all tell. Like, you can tell that, well, to me, it just doesn't seem like a real relationship. It's just like some sort of like a rent a man, rent a date kind of thing. Like, the way she was talking and like trying to play coy and like not really saying that he's more than a friend or just a friend or whatever. It's like, Drew, like, we're not all dumb, we're not all stupid. Like, we get it. We get it. This is all just for show. Just, I don't know, just say you're having fun. I don't know. Just say you're dating around, and the person that you happen to be just talking to or dating at this present moment, if you wish to admit that, is black. But you know what? It is what it is. God bless. Honestly, God bless. I'm not married, never was married. Hopefully, one day I'll be married. But for me, I'd just be like, I'm just interested in a few people. Black just happens to be one of the people that I am talking to or looking at right now. So, it is what it is with that for me. But hey, it's her life. I can't tell a grown person how to live their life. Moving on to Portia, Cynthia, and Phaedra. So Portia, Cynthia, and Phaedra meet up at this nail salon to get their nails done. And obviously Portia comes in first, and then Cynthia comes in, and Phaedra with this horrible blonde hair comes in. I will say I prefer Phaedra with more of the darker hair, and I also prefer Phaedra with that sort of like reddish copper. I think to me that color just I just feel like that works for her. Or maybe with the blonde, I actually don't mind when she has the shorter blonde. I kind of like that on her, or maybe just a different shade. But the long bust down, as they say, or like the one down to her waist, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's also because of her height that I feel it just covers too much of her, in my opinion. But, to each his own. If she loves it, I love it. Who am I to tell her what to do? It's her money. The cost of the wig is probably 10 times more than what I would know, really. So there we go with that. I had a little laugh when Portia was talking about how it's important now that she's a single woman now, and how it's important to keep her toes from being ashy and all that, because she was like, you all know how fast I move. Well, never know when they'll propose actually. So it was funny. I thought it was a little bit funny, but I guess no one wants ashy feet. No one wants to walk around being bye ashy, like Portia said to Kenya in season number 5. So that was funny to me. While they were there, while they were sitting around having a little chit chat, K Michelle then comes. So obviously, in K Michelle's scene, I'm not sure if they showed her getting ready for this, or she must have been getting ready for something else, but I cannot remember. She obviously then shows up at the nail salon, still recovering, still needing assistance walking around. I was like, wow, like, she is committed to this, so good for her. Whatever makes you money. But at the same time, please just stay home, look after yourself, have your rest. If you need to sit down, if you need to just have a day off, I'm sure, it's really, really not the end of the world. Like, but hey, I guess a call time is a call time. At the end of the day, this is a job to them. To us, it's entertainment, but we are literally watch them work, even though, yeah. Um. So obviously, while they were there, excuse me, while they were there at the nail salon when K Michelle Rock showed up. I nearly said rocked up. In Australia, you say rocked up, show up, whatever. When K Michelle finally showed up, I guess they just got to like chit chatting about little things or catching up or what was going on, and obviously they all knew that she was in hospital, and she said like did the whole her pleasantries and thanking them for showing up in whatever way that they did and they could, which was nice. And then while she was explaining what had happened, because they did know what had happened, but someone texting you about what had happened versus seeing them in person, you'll then ask like, "Hey, what happened? Please tell me what happened." So while she was explaining how when she had sat down and then she stood up, the back of her dress was like dripping wet. She explained that it wasn't blood or anything; it was like clear liquid or clear water that had come, I believe, somewhere from like within her body. And Portia just blurts out, "You didn't have a miscarriage, did you?" Like, Portia. Obviously, Portia's history on the show with saying something crazy or something sort of blind, blondish. It's something that we've noted for some time, but at the same time, I'm like, something like a miscarriage is probably something that you shouldn't just publicly ask someone, even though it comes across like you're in a closed circle or in a private circle, but maybe it could have been something that she could have asked her privately, or like not even just blurt out in the first place, just like sort of just allow her to get through her story and let her finish, and then you'll get to find out what really happened. Because things like a miscarriage is, I don't know, it's like something very personal, very painful, something that a lot of people do suffer and go through, especially women. So I don't know. I personally wouldn't have said what Portia said, and I personally kind of feel how Kay Michelle felt in the moment in regards to what Portia said by just blurting out if she had a miscarriage, especially with when Kay Michelle said that Portia knows that she was wanting to have children or she wants to have another child, and she had like fully actually explained that in a previous interview that she had just done. I can't remember who it was with, and she was talking about how when her first son, who's now a teen and adult, I believe, when she had him, she just started university. She was only 19, so her focus, with the help of her family, was getting through university, finishing all that, which is amazing, and I honestly deeply deeply commend her for that. So in a way, I guess she felt like she lost time or moments that she would have shared with her baby because she had to work to provide a life for him. So I guess she sort of wants a redo in a way, just to make the time back. And I believe she said she wants a little girl, which I think is so cute. Like if if me OJ were to have children, if the good Lord was to bless me with kids, I don't really mind what gender, but if I could were to pick one or just have one child, I think I would really like a little girl. I don't know why I think it's so cute. Um, and I don't know. I've got a little niece now, and I am so in love with her. Like, I just think she is the most beautiful thing. I just think that she's the most sweetest, sweetest, sweetest little girl ever. I don't know. I mean, I'd be happy with whatever. Like, to me, it'll be a beautiful thing to be a parent, so I don't mind. But if I could really pick, I personally would be so happy with a little girl. But you know what? I am wishing her all the best. I hope that, her journey to becoming pregnant and having a child and potentially having a girl, like, I hope that works out for her and her husband. Um, One thing I will note, or one thing I have noticed since basically Phaedra's return to Bravo, just overall, like when she was on Married to Medicine, and even when she came back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta last season, and obviously now she's back on this season. A lot of people on Twitter, as well as myself, I've noticed that she is like in the scene she's there. She really doesn't say too much. She's either just laughing along or making funny faces, which that's fine. I guess sometimes there's nothing wrong with just sitting there, but at the same time, like you're on a TV show. Why aren't you actively participating in the conversation? Why aren't you actively like contributing to something? Like I know that we're watching for their real life, but at the same time, we're watching for entertainment purposes. And I just feel like, to me, Phaedra comes across as a friend of the show. Like, I have nothing against someone going back to a job. However, we all know how she had left in season 9 and the reasons why she had left. So almost feel like with her returning, like a lot of fans, a lot of people, maybe even production as well, they were expecting Phaedra from previous season, Phaedra from before season 9 or season 9 and backwards, because obviously at the time she had people to like conflict or like have drama with. Like Kenya had Kenya with the whole situation with like her allegedly flirting with Apollo, and then the whole thing with Kendi from like their relationship to the point where it became contentious to the point where she, well, allegedly had accused Candy of, trying to DRUG and having their way with Portia in a dungeon. And of course, she had like just this funny, oil and water sort of relationship with Nini as well. So that was that as well. So with all those things, I felt like in a way they were kind of like able to bounce off each other, and that sort of made Phaedra interesting. Other than obviously her family life, everything that she had gone through with Apollo, like obviously now that the kids are older, now that Apollo's sort of out of the picture, that's sort of I want to see what she's doing. Like I want to see what she does throughout her like day to day life because she seems to be doing really really well. She seems like she's managing well. I do not see any sort of financial issues. I do not hear of any financial issues with Phaedra. So like I think she does well for herself. But I would like to see more of that. But hopefully with time we get that. But I don't know. It's been 2 seasons, so we'll see. We'll see what we get by the end. Really. Um, moving on now to Shamia. So in the scene with Shamia, she is meeting with her team to discuss. Excuse me. I literally just have electrolytes and water in here because my lips are so dry because it is so hot, and I feel like I didn't even drink enough water the last few days. And the last thing I want is to have cracked lips or just be dehydrated. So if you're wondering, it's just electrolytes and water, nothing crazy. I'll save that for the weekend. It's actually Thursday where I am right now, so don't mind me. What were we up to? We were up to Shamia. So it's a scene where Shamia and Gerald were walking with their daughters. One was in the pram, and the other one they walked her up to her school. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think that Shamia has a really, really beautiful family. I think those daughters, they're so beautiful. Like God bless them. I have a question because obviously in the scene, Shamia then tells Gerald that she is doing rum. My question is this something that Shamia has always wanted to do? Is this something that, on her vision board for 2025, it's like, oh, I'll do rum? Or is this something that is like a passion project or like a sort of throwaway thing, something just to do to pass the time? Or because, I don't know, just with Shamia being on previously as a friend and then now the last season and this season as a housewife, I just never really got the vibe that like rum was a thing or she was into rum in that way. I could be wrong. Things may have changed. I probably missed something knowing me, but I just don't get it. But anyway, you know what? I wish her well. I wish her well. Um, in the scene where they did like a little You know what? No, I'm not gonna say what I'm gonna. But I will say though, I get the feeling that Gerald doesn't seem impressed with Shamir's like take on the rum business, just because I don't know. I just don't know. It just comes across like that's what I'm seeing on TV. Like it just comes across that way to me. I could be very wrong, which I'll admit that I could be wrong, but it just doesn't. I don't know. I just sort of I just can't see him just being interested. But I'll tell you what, or impressed I meant. But I'll tell you what though, like when they did like a little flashback scene and she and him were talking to the potential like rum makers and like her business side of things, like he was asking to me all the right questions. Like I felt like he was asking questions that needed to be asked in in that capacity, because at the end of the day, like it's nice to do something like a passion project or whatever, but in a way you would want to see some return, in a way you want something to be successful. So I didn't have an issue with Gerald's line of questioning. I thought it was good. I'm glad that she had him there. He seems to be doing so well business wise and being able to build a good life for his family. So me personally, if I had a Gerald would be sitting right here with me on this camera asking all my questions if I was doing around business. So I didn't see any issue with that. Um Also, Shamir's comment about trying to retire Gerald or trying to retire her family, I was like, I do not want to look down on someone. I do not want to belittle someone's career or attempt at success. But Shamir, this man has been working for however long he's been working for. How are you gonna retire him in like the next few years with your own business? Like that's just my thought. Like, is she trying to make money for herself, as in like just to keep her busy, as like a hobby, which is cool? Or is there another reason which we don't know about? But I will not get into it because we'll just talk about what we see and not what we are reading between the lines. Because I could be reading too far into it, and someone may get on here and be like, "Oh, you're reading too much into it." That's fine, whatever. We'll deal with it, I guess. Um, Pinky. So she obviously in this scene, she is talking about potentially filing for bankruptcy. As we see now, in present day, she has actually filed for bankruptcy. Um, I haven't seen her so far talk to Derek, her husband, about her thoughts on filing for bankruptcy, and I'm wondering why. Because from the last episode when they were talking, while like obviously she and him were talking, and I know I had commented saying I don't like how it seems like the way he talks to her. It seems like when he says like he's the one to like humble her or whatever. The way I took it is like he's talking down to her, but at the same time, seeing how Pinky seems to be talking to every other person other than her actual husband about the bankruptcy, it comes across like she really holds on to this like a shield or whatever of like just being strong and independent. And I get that, and that's important, and you should always be that. But if you have a husband that has all this money, that is extremely successful, just as successful as you are, or even more, why wouldn't you go and ask him for money? Or why wouldn't you ask him for a loan instead of going through the whole process of being bankruptcy, or almost like trying to carry all the load on you? Like to me, that just doesn't make sense. But it is what it is. I hope she comes through. I hope everything works out well. As I mentioned, obviously now in present day, that she has since filed for bankruptcy. So I really wish her well. Like I hope that everything just works out for her. Cause yeah, and yeah, that's like my take on that whole bankruptcy talk with Pinky. Um, Next we move on to K Michelle, Cynthia, and Pinky. So they all obviously meet up for like a cute little lunch date. Kay is out again, still recovering, still sore. Everyone's still checking in on her as it comes to that. And I think also in this scene as well, they bring up like Kay Michelle's Twitter page, and like her calling Portia a bimbo over the miscarriage comments. It's very interesting because I feel like the Bravo fans, they're super different from like the Love and Hip Hop fans, like fans I meant, as in online. Especially when it comes to like Hey Michelle just out here just popping off and calling someone a bimbo or just sort of sending out like cryptic tweets without like anyone's name, and you don't even know who she's talking about, but clearly she's talking about someone that she either recently had a scene with or is in scene with, and it's just like, what is going on? Like, I don't know. I thought that she would at least maybe try to bridge the gap and have the conversation with them in person, but that maybe that's just how she operates, which I don't get it, but hey, it is what it is. Uh, one thing that was very, I'm laughing because there was one thing that was very funny, which I touched on a bit. It's to do with Phaedra. So when Kay Michelle is like, basically like, what's the deal with Phaedra? Like, what's her deal? Like every time she's always laughing insane, like, yeah, like what is up with that? And then she did mention that she does have her eye on both Portia and Phaedra, and we know Portia and Phaedra, their history, so I don't blame her. Obviously, she felt slighted by Portia's comments when it came to like the whole miscarriage thing of it all, and then she does feel not away, but kind of like with Phaedra just sitting there, almost like a tape recorder, just taking everything in, not saying much, and then I guess the story will then go to someone else. But you know how some people just sit there in the room and just listen for the sake of listening. But yeah, that's it. Um, Angela and these houses. So we see Angela and her daughter Amari go to one of the houses that she is looking at purchasing, and as I said before, obviously she lost like $2 million doing all this. She lost obviously the houses because they all got foreclosed on. I really wish her well. Like I hope that she finds what she's looking for, because in the scene actually her daughter Amari asks her if she's doing this to make money and for the love to be successful with that and all that, or is she doing it because she's trying to cover up something or like fill a void. And we know that from last season her mother had since passed away. um and it's sort of like, I guess, kind of like a really tender and sore time for her, which it'll be so sad. Like if I lost my parent, my mother in particular, or my dad as well, but we're talking about moms right now, I would be distraught. Like to see her cry or like get teary eyed in the scene, like it was so sad. Like just I couldn't even imagine what that world would be like to lose a parent and just trying to just exist and figure out how and what life and what will things look like. That was like, to me, that was so sad. So I hope that she gets the closure and, I guess you could say, get the healing and finds what she needs and what she is looking for. So my heart goes out to Angela and anyone dealing with the loss of a parent or a loved one or someone that they deeply do care about. um yeah, I already talked about Pinky and her husband, and I feel like he wants to be supportive. I feel like he's open to being supportive, but I also feel like Pinky doesn't want to take the support, and I feel like there might be a reason. I'm not sure what that reason is. Maybe as the season goes on and things progress, then we get to see what is up within their marriage for her to feel that way. I don't know. Like I personally, if I was her, I would just take the money because I mean, if my husband is willing and here and able to support me, I mean, why are you married then? Because isn't marriage meant to be like a source of love, joy, support, and all those wonderful things? I don't know. I'm not a married man. I couldn't tell you the first or the last thing about being married, but I do understand what it's like to be in a committed relationship and what it's like to feel the need to support your partner who's going through something or just want to like figure something out with them. So yeah, I hope that, I don't know. I feel like she should try to take her husband's help, but it is what it is. Like it's her life. She's a grown woman. I can't tell her what to do. I can't tell them what to do within their marriage. Finally, like my final point that I have here on my iPad is Portia and Kelly. Portia and Kelly. See, I'll just be typing anything on this damn iPad. Portia and K Michelle meet up, and obviously they meet up because I guess Kay wanted to settle or clear the air as it came to the comments that Portia had made back at the salon when the nail salon when Kay was talking about her. I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny. When Kay was talking about her dress being wet because of all the complications that she was having with her previous surgeries and all that, and Portia just blurting out, they're like, "Oh, miscarriage," and then Kay then post on Twitter saying, blah 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 about like some calling someone a bimbo and the bimbo being Portia. So they meet up, they catch up. It was a good, I guess, pretty good conversation. They were able to squash whatever beginning of a beef that may have been going on. They said sorry. Portia obviously apologized. Kay accepted, and that was it. But then, like, the thing as well is like obviously after hearing the comments that Kay Michelle had made when she was at lunch with Angela, no, Cynthia and Pinky, when she said she has her eye on them, like to me, is this apology like apology as in like this is done, that's it, we'll move on, or is this like an apology as in I'm apologizing for this, but I'm still keeping my eye on you, which will be interesting because we'll see everything unfold. But you know what? I guess she's gonna keep her eye on Portia, and Phaedra will be keeping our eyes on the screens. I thank you all so much for joining me for this episode review. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the show so far, this episode. Let me know what you think of my videos. Obviously, I am just starting, so if you have any tips or any tricks or anything that I could do better, please put it down in the comment section. Please, share with a friend. Be kind in the comment section towards each other, towards myself. I thank you all so much for watching. I love you all, and I will see you all next time for the next review. Thank you so much. Bye!